Hello everyone, this is Vijay Rajshekharan. I'm going to give you an introduction about how you access web services data through MicroStrategy and build your reports and dashboards and use web services data as any other data sources like you do on a regular MicroStrategy report. And I'm also going to give you a brief introduction about what is a web service and where it's been used, how it's been used, and how MicroStrategy architecture is designed behind how to use a web service data. A few other things I'm going to talk about is xQuery. When we talk about it, we will know what is xQuery, its basics, and freeform SQLs and freeform xQuery reports in MicroStrategy. I'm also going to give you a brief introduction about xQuery editor and generator, which is a MicroStrategy tool to create xQuery reports and xQuery from a web source. And I'm going to do this as a demo here, which is what you're seeing, and give you a brief summary, and then we'll have time to ask questions. As you all know, we have web services everywhere. Every company nowadays have web services, internally used or externally used. The most famous ones are Google's Map, Facebook, Flickr, Salesforce.com is one of the biggest one. Amazon EC3 Cloud and its web services are very famous, and the list keeps going on. Web services, what do they do with web service? Web services are basically, you can share data, what the enterprise has. It is a best platform, not to just only to share the data, but also to share your services. For example, EC3 Cloud is a Amazon cloud based platform, which is a service oriented. It can be shared, even the platform can be shared and used. Application suites that provide web service interfaces are SAP, Oracle Apps, Salesforce.com, proprietary data sources without SQL database interface. Real-time data feeds, like even FedEx has web services where you can type in the tracking code and it's going to give us where the shipment is available right now. And as I mentioned, you can have internal and external data which can be shared through the internet. Advantages of web services: it's mainly platform independence, language independence, and it uses the hypertext transfer protocol, which is the basics of internet for transmitting data, and adequately for loosely coupled system, basically systems that doesn't have to talk much except asking few questions. Before going to find out how I'm going to access the web service data, let's take a brief introduction about what are all the list of things that I need to know before I step into web services. XML, you all know, extended markup language, which is the basic platform or means of communication that needs to be done for web services. All the data will be passed through XML. SOAP is a simple object access protocol, and REST is a representational state transfer. These two methods are used to access data through web services. Simple object access protocol is more of a architecture that is completely designed only for web services, whereas representational state transfer is more of a traditional method of get post methods used in web, in the HTTP. WSDL is the form of description language for web services. Any web services should have a WSDL. So WSDL is a web services description language which is used to understand and access a web service. Any web services will first provide you what its WSDL is. So based on the WSDL, we will know what are all the services that are currently running and how it can be accessed. UDDI, Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. It is basically a type of yellow pages for us in the internet. Internet, you need to know whom to talk to, what to talk to, and how to talk to. So these web services use UDDI to talk to each other or let others to go communicate with them. So when we talk about web services, we need to know what are all the different types of web services that can be done or what we can do using these web services. DaaS, SaaS and PaaS. DaaS is a data as a service. So any provider can share their data or sell their data through web services. For example, weather forecast. Weather forecast, we need data across to share what will be the current weather forecast. We don't have to have many, we can have one web services that can serve across user, that can serve across and get the purpose of it. So weather forecast is a data. Like previously I told about the FedEx example where you can use the tracking data. If you provide the tracking ID, FedEx can give you the tracking data back. That can be integrated into your application also. Mainly Google's has many search data. You can also have Google search page in your web page. So you can use the Google's service and search functionality in your data. That is a software as a service. Google also provide map data. So if you can pull in the maps, if you want to pull in the maps into your application, you can use Google's software as a service and build the maps in your application. Platform as a service, which is EC3 is one of the best example where Amazon cloud service is able to provide users to go log in and use their platform. MicroStrategy has software as a service and platform as a service. MicroStrategy Express Cloud provides MicroStrategy software without installing it into their desktop or into their environment. So companies can buy them and use them as it is. So same like platform, they can also bring in data and save their data into their platform. So since we talked about MicroStrategy, I would like to explain where and how web services are accessed in MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has to have the free-form. The only way to access web services are through free-form xquery, transactional, and xquery. So in the multi-source model, free-form xquery reports are the only way that we can access web services. We can read XML files and also web services. So documents and reports can use the data from both data warehouse and also it can access data from web services. So that's the way that we can access the data and create dashboards on top of it. Now, what are all the things that we need to know before we go to build a dashboard that talks to a web service data? xquery report are done through freeform xquery reports. So as I mentioned, before we start on web services, we need to know xquery. xquery is the query language designed by W3C, which is the World Wide Web or WW organization, to extract data from XML files and transform the results according to our needs. xquery is to XML like SQL for relational databases. Like columns and rows in our databases, we use SQL. We say select star from whatever the table name, or select column name from table name. It's a SQL language. So xquery has a language that can read and parse through XML files. xquery allows us to query the XML files, and we can browse through the XML files, reorganize them and transform them. Returns the results in a structure of our choice. We can either see the data as an XML file, or we can even parse them or do a column and row wise data. xquery also supports a rich set of functionalities or features. You can do select, filter, search and join data, sort, group and aggregate. Perform arithmetic calculations we can do by dates and numbers. We can also manipulate strings like substring, and we can use the same data to put in more than one column. We can also transform and restructure an XML data. We can receive an XML data. Using xquery, we can transform it or break it into more than one XML file and store it. Free-form xquery reports, because these two are really important for us to access data through web services for MicroStrategy. Any data from web services needs to be accessed through xquery reports for MicroStrategy. We have a free-form SQL editor. I will show you how we can reach here through the demo. So xquery statements is the xquery statement pair is where the xquery statements are written. Mapping panel is where we can map the output objects from xquery statements to a MicroStrategy object. It can either be an attribute or a metric. We can choose database here for xquery. So we can look at it when we go there. xquery editor and generator. This is the third one that we want to remember. xquery editor and generator is a tool from MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy provides this tool so that we don't have to create these xquery statements like select column name from table name kind of query statements for XML. Instead, MicroStrategy writes it for us. We basically need to cut and paste it on the xquery statement panel and then just map it. So it's kind of like a wizard that I can walk you through how to create it. I'm going to walk you through how to create it. So it's a standalone tool for generating xquery statements, can be consumed in a free-form xquery report. xquery editor supports generations of XML, REST and SOAP queries. As we know what is a REST and SOAP queries, so we can create those. Load information from a web services. We can just directly copy and paste a WSDL, and then from that it's going to walk you through how to build the xquery statement. Specify data elements to be retrieved and generate xquery statement. So it's few steps process, which is really easy to do, which I'm going to walk you through in the next few minutes. Hopefully you don't have any questions, or if you have any questions, I can take your questions now. Okay, so this is where the xquery statements, which will be created from XEG, which is a xquery editor and generator from MicroStrategy. Once they generate the xquery, we can copy and paste it in our xquery statement panel in the freeform xquery report. I know I've been saying the xquery word 1,000 times, but I believe that's what going to help us reach the goal. MicroStrategy. So let's just first look at what are all the components of this xquery. So here is the list of components that we may want to take a look at. This is the first piece, which is where we declare the namespace. If you closely look at it, the HTTP, the link goes to microstrategy.com xquery SOAP functions. So these are all the servers that MicroStrategy has, and it's a web service where it gives the information about all the functions available within MicroStrategy's xquery functions, SOAP functions. Request URI, SOAP version, and SOAP action, these are all again the header informations. URI stands for the Universal Resource Indicator. It's going to give us the web services.x. Currently this is where the web services is running. That's what URI is going to tell us. WS security file, this is a request URI. WS security file and SOAP headers are going to tell what kind of security it is and what other custom header information available. SOAP body is where we're going to tell what is the web service that we are going to access and how we are going to access it. If we have any specific parameters, we can provide it through the body. MicroStrategy actually builds all these for us when we go through the XEG wizard. Response declaration result XML and will be stored in a $result variable, which is nothing but the data coming back is stored in this piece, and how we are going to store it and then how we are going to access it. The final one is the MicroStrategy XML schema, which is nothing but a table name, table and column level details. It breaks up an XML file and puts the data here. So here is the link. We will look at the link, and before going there, so I'm going to do a demo now in MicroStrategy how to do this. I'm going to show you how I'm going to access the XEG, create the xquery for a given web service, and access the data through MicroStrategy. As I mentioned, XEG, xquery editor and generator, is a MicroStrategy tool. As a part of the installation, you will get this tool get installed into your Windows machine. So I'm accessing the XEG. It's a simple wizard, so I'm clicking on new xquery. I know there is a web service that I'm going to access. This is a SOAP based web service. It's not an XML file or REST. It's a SOAP based XML file, SOAP based web service. So http dot webservice x.net /us zip. Let me make sure if I'm copying it correctly, or maybe I can copy it from here. Control C, Control V. So http www.webservicex.net, which is a famous web service. It's a free web service. They have a lot of available web services. You can go and search. US Zip is one of the web services that they have, famous web service. You can type in the zip and understand where this zip belongs to. So that's what we are going to do right now. So click on load. Once I click on load, you get the data, available web services, WSDL operations. So in this case, I can get cities and other information by zip or state or city name or area code. Area code is nothing but the telephone area code. So in our example, I'm going to use the get info by zip your operation or services. So if I provide a zip code, it's going to give back the data about which city the zip code belongs to and other information about the telephone area code, city name, state, and which time zone it belongs to. So let's look at it. So I clicked on next after loading the web service. This is the sample request that will be sent to this web service. So for example, in this case, I can change this value to any zip code. In my example, I'm going to change it to 75039, which I know it belongs to Irving, Texas. So I know this zip code, so I'm giving this zip code here, and click on next. We don't have any headers. There is no security information, so I'm just going to click on next. Response definition. This is the key. We have to capture the response. I provided a zip code. We have to capture the response and save it in a file. So xquery will be able to strip the information from the file and provide us an xquery. XEG will be doing it for us. So I capture the information. So now you can see 75039 belongs to city Irving, state Texas, zip. So this is how the data is going to come back to us. So let's save this in a file. Let's call this my web service response. So we can save this of any type. So let's save this. Saved, and click on next. Other information, we don't have any other information currently, so just click on finish. Now, so xquery has, XEG has the tree view, and this is the response that we have. So when you click on the new data set, it's like a table-like structures. The data is going to come back to us as city, state, zip, area code, and time zone. All we need to do is drag and drop it here. So this is a grid view. The X path is defined, source text. So let's click on generate. It's going to, XEG going to generate us the X query for us. So I'm clicking on generate, and this is the X query. So it has the MicroStrategy namespace declaration, the URI, SOAP declaration, SOAP payload, where we provide us the data for the web service, and this is the response. We put them into the query response, and this is the table and column level that is going to be defined in our MicroStrategy. So let's take a copy of it. I'm clicking on Control A, Control C, which is copy. I'm going to MicroStrategy now. This is MicroStrategy. I'm on MicroStrategy tutorial, direct MicroStrategy. It's under my reports folder. I'm going to right click on it, click on new, click on a report. Here is what we need to do. We have general intelligent cube MDX freeform sources. So click on freeform sources. I already defined a data source for xquery. So using the xquery, create freeform xquery report. Click OK. it's going to open us the freeform report editor, the SQL editor for us. Using the freeform SQL editor, we need to paste our XQuery statement here. So this is the XQuery statement. I can paste it here. Now, if you watch carefully, we have all the statements defined here, including this zip. So first time when you do it, you can we don't want to write a web service only for one zip. So what do we need to do is we might want to introduce a prompt that can prompt us a zip code for a zip code any time, and then using the prompt we can use the same code, same report to access any data with a different data. So to do that, the freeform SQL editor allows us to insert prompts. I already created a prompt. I can show you what the prompt is going to look like. Oh, not right now, but I can insert the prompt right now and then show you how this prompt is defined. Go to my personal objects, my reports, number prompt, which is going to accept only the zip code. So currently I have defined the prompt over here. If you look at now closely on the mouse over, I have defined the prompt over here. Now step 2 is to define the attributes and metrics from the result data. So currently we don't have any metrics, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data coming back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the data that, so we have to make it as an attribute. So I'm creating it as an attribute. Table, actually I don't need this, so let me remove this. Okay, that's fine. New attribute 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 actually. So data, the next one is city, state, zip, area code, time zone. And as you all know, these are all our text types, so I'm going to change this to text types. Right, so the MicroStrategy attributes has been defined right now. These are all the freeform objects. You can either use an existing freeform object or define a new freeform object by right clicking here. So we have already defined the objects, so I'm going to click OK. Now data, city, state, zip, area code and time zone, everything is defined right now. We have to save this report in order to execute it. So I'm going to save this report. I'm going to call it my first web service. Save it, and that's it. My first web service report is ready. Now when I click on my first web service report, it's going to run. It says it's a number prompt. I can enter between value 10,000 to 999. So as you know, let's type any other different zip codes, probably anything that you know of. I'll type one of the zip code that I know, which is 75080, and I click next, finish. Let's see which city this belongs to. This is the data which I don't need it. City Richardson, state Texas, zip 75080, area code is 972, and time zone. We can even reprompt it here and say, hey, okay, what is 75081? Finish. Oh, it is still Richardson. Let's change this to something else. 75063. Next. Finish. This is Irving, Texas, area code 972, time zone Central. Sorry about the ring. So this is what we need to do. Going back to the presentation, to the slides from the current. So this is where the link, you can access this video again anytime. Let's do a quick summary on what we did so far. We looked at the xQuery editor and generator, loaded the specific information about the web service, which is the WSDL file, specified the data elements to be retrieved, then generated the xQuery statements. We copied and pasted the xQuery statements into the freeform xQuery SQL editor. We copied and pasted the xQuery report, and then one thing that we did is we also defined a prompt instead of just a value, and then mapped all the freeform attribute and metric into our freeform in the freeform SQL editor, and then defined the reports, just executed them. So that's so simple, looks like, but definitely it is really simple. Once you start doing this, there are tons and tons of web services available which we can go ahead and use it and have a happy web services quest. If you have any questions regarding, please feel free to reach me, or you can also ping me. Thank you.